Hello, friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hello, Levi.
Hello, Jen. Welcome back to the recording dungeon.
Right, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's not going to sound like it to people listening.
It's going to sound...
We have an amazing backlog going. But yeah, it's been a while.
It's going to sound like I'm sick because I was sick.
You are sick. Well, correct. Yes. Let's not do time warpy bullshit. Let's just speak in the present tense.
I just did.
Okay, great. Well, you said you were sick.
Because I'm getting over the sickness now. I'm not ill presently.
See. Okay.
My voice is still all fucked up though.
Yeah, you sound sick.
So apologies. Hopefully better luck next time. Even though next time is like tomorrow.
2 days. Yeah.
So we'll see. Anyway, today we are talking about the first part of the Final Coil of Bahamut.
Yeah.
But first, what happened last time, Jen?
Fuck.
That face you just made.
Oh, God. Okay, hold on. Okay, so last time, we met Nail. And we fought Nail. Deus Darnus? Post-defeat, we see that Nail is a woman, and she is shaking off the ensorcelment, which means that Bahamut has let her go. So yeah, then Louisoix pops up, a legit thrall of Bahamut, and blasts Elise in the chest, and this is when she finally realizes that it's not her actual grandpa. And he's like, you better stop meddling or I'm going to kill all y'all. And we're like, nope. And that's that. So we continue our mission.
Nice. Thank you, Jen.
Woo! Do I get a fate?
Sure. You can get a lot of fates, actually.
Yay!
As part of the relic,
no.
the relic weapon quest.
I got so many of those.
Yeah.
That's great.
We are back again at the Waking Sands, and we are meeting up with Urianger. He starts off strong this time by reminding us that nothing awaits us but misery as we uncover the truth of the coils. Man is wont to cast light wheresoever secrets lie hid in darkness, though that which he illuminateth seldom bringeth him joy. So it is with such unhappy truths as Bahamut's immense shadow doth conceal. Yeah,
man. Ignorance is bliss. That's that.
Thanks, Jen, for that translation.
You're welcome.
Still, despite all that, Elise is going to press on.
Absolutely.
And she arrives on cue. Elise reminds us that we must disable 2 remaining hulks to stop Bahamut from regenerating. And Elise has located these hulks, however, she does not yet have a way inside.
And Urianger is like, well, in addition to that, Bahamut has also bound other souls to his will that will endeavor to bar our passage.
Some souls of unknown personage are bound to his will.
Yeah, some guys may be wandering around being mad that you're wandering around.
And Elise realizes that he's talking about Louisoix without saying Louisoix.
Right.
And she's like, yo, I'm cool. I can handle it.
I mean, she got blasted in the chest by her grandfather. And she's like, back we go. Resilient, this woman. But regardless, like, physically, we cannot enter the structure. We don't have a way in. And so what Urianger suggests is that we, the Warrior of Light, tag along, and perhaps by the virtue of our presence, a way in will materialize magically. He's like, that seems to happen.
Our main character abilities will make it open.
Correct. Yeah, we've got plart. I don't even know where the art came from, but no, we have plot keys that plot keys that enter open doors.
So the 2 fragments are at the Burning Wall in Eastern Thanalan and the Singing Shards in Mordona.
Yep. So we'll go to the Burning Wall first. And what Elise has done is she has sent ahead to these 2 locations some employees of hers. Well, I didn't realize that she had sent, like, quote-unquote employees. I figured that she had found, I don't know, like, adventurers for hire or something, and sent them out to do a little reconnaissance. I don't know. We go out there.
So, Jen, we solved the first mystery of Final Coils. We uncover the identities of the Jobuses that Alisaie carts around.
Right. Yeah, I was like, why do these guys look familiar?
We're unlocking the deepest secrets of the game, Jen, right here.
Oh, I got goosebumps. So we're meeting yet again up with Dex and Sinus.
Sinus.
Sinus?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, it's not sinus.
Dex and Sinus.
Dex and Sinus. Dex and Sinus. Okay. So she has sent these guys, her former bodyguards or whatever, out to the Burning Wall and out to the Singing Shards.
Because first off, these guys, they're working for Alisaie directly.
Yes.
They're not Alfino's minders or like some family
No, they are
bodyguard.
signed to Alisaie.
She hired them, I think, is probably more appropriate.
To be her chaperones in the beginning of the game?
I think they're more her gophers. We had assumed they were her chaperones because they chased her out of the quicksand.
Yes.
But the way that she interacts with them here, it's that they are her employees.
Kind of gophers. Yep,
yeah.
Gophers is appropriate.
So I think that we just made some assumptions because we had no other idea back then.
Fair, yeah. Well, they're still in the mix. Huzzah.
Yes. She says, go find my guy, Dex, I think, out there.
Dex, correct.
We find him. He's atop the Burning Wall, the big blazing orange crystal formation that towers over eastern Thanalan. And he's just checking out the scenery. And as we walk up to him, he says, oh, hey, I'm Sinus.
Mm-hmm. Like,
which is,
Alisaie thinks you're Dex.
Yeah.
So my expectation was when we go out to meet these guys who are, again, in monster-ridden, dangerous-ass landscapes to do some dangerous-ass work, that we're going to find people outfitted in, like, adventuring gear. But no, what we find is a poor man, this Rogaden attendant, dressed like Hildebrand, like in fancy valet type garb, not at all appropriate for what it is that he's doing.
Yep.
And he's very clearly out of his element. He's just like looking for a door, and it's like, there is no door. There's no way in. I don't know what to tell you. And
then Alisaie walks up and goes, hey, how goes the survey, Dex?
Yep. Fuck. That's
like,
so rude.
These guys are not twins. They're two Rogaden, yes, but they besides having the same build as all Rogaden males do, they don't look anything alike one another.
Correct.
This is just like managerial insensitivity.
He does not correct her. He never corrects her.
No.
Not his place. But that was so upsetting to me on a number of levels, because she sends these guys out they're not equipped. This is not in their job description. I can fucking guarantee it. They're not dressed appropriately. They are not outfitted appropriately. And she also can't remember their names. Like, goddamn, guys. Be a less stereotypical rich bitch. Anyway, so he's like, well, this is Sinus, not Dex, but he has not found an entrance. So when the fragment crashed into the earth, a massive disruption of ether spewed forth, and it twisted the land around it, and like it's encased in the actual earth. And she's like, "Don't give up."
After that, Alisaie says, "Let's go see Sinus in Mordona."
Oh, right, and the real Sinus is like, "Oh, by the way, about him, I lost contact with him about a bell ago, and
which I think is like an hour.
An hour, yeah." And I fear something unspeakable has happened to him.
He says, I fear something unspeakable has happened to Dex. He uses the correct name. He does not correct Alisaie.
Right, yeah. That's the best option he has. Yes. She doesn't pick up on it at all, because she still continues to call Dex Sinus and Sinus Dex. But yeah, that was like, he was like, please pick up on what I'm putting down here.
Actually, Dex may be in mortal danger, by the way.
Right. Yeah, so I have lost contact with my brother. He might be in danger. This poor man. these poor guys. And so well now we gotta go check up on fucking Dex. Real Dex.
We hop over to Mordona and head for the Singing Shards. This is the area where Mordona's normal blue crystal formations mingle with an orange corrupted crystal. The eruption of blue crystals was triggered by the death of the dragon Midgarstormer in the Battle of Silver Tier Skies, whereas we now learn that the eruption of orange crystal at the Singing Shards came from this fallen fragment of Dalamud. So that's 2 ethereal crystallizations in Mordona.
Damn.
In relatively recent history.
Spicy.
Spicy taxi.
Maybe. We find Dex out there, and he's been mildly accosted by giants, but otherwise he's fine. But he has the same story. There's no way in.
He's kneeling on the ground in the classic Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah,
I just got beat up pose.
Yeah, exactly.
And we help him to his feet, and he's all
fine.
good. Yep.
I'm fine, ma'am.
We can now note, having seen both Dex and Sinus, that Dex is bald, whereas Sinus has spiky dark hair. Very different features.
So rude. Alize, do better.
Also, one has red gloves.
It's like they've tried to do everything they can to distinguish themselves. Yep. Like,
they got
okay,
name
bro,
tags.
Like you wear the red gloves. I'll shave my head. Whatever it is, maybe she'll remember our names then. No, she won't. So anyway, but yeah, same story here. Is the land has completely enveloped any sort of entrance that may have existed. There's nothing here. And now Alize is like, well, fuck. We do not have time to excavate. That's like the only option, is literally just to physically excavate to whatever entrance might exist.
But just then, Urian J pings us.
Boop-doop.
He's found a way in.
Of course he has.
He will reveal the truth at the ceruleum processing plant in northern Thanalan.
Fuck yeah. Alize is stoked. And again, I just have to say, she just leaves these guys. Like, okay, bye. I'm off to do some shit. Good luck getting out of here. Whatever. I'm guessing they're paid very well.
That is a strong guess, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to be, right? Otherwise, have some self-respect. So out to this ceruleum processing plant, and just to the north, we remember that we exited here once at Dalamud's Talons.
Twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
After
a
second coil.
You're right. Yeah. So this is where Urian J is like, this is where we found the way in, and she's like, but how is that a thing? Because we've already been here.
Alize remarks, for the first time, I think, once we arrived there, that when we left the coil, we were born out of there upon an ethereal stream. And beforehand, we just kind of left the instance.
Yeah, no. It was
and
hand-waved.
popped out there.
It was not explained at all.
And it's like, oh great, now we're here for some reason.
Did we climb out of a tunnel? Is there a little hole in the ground?
But now we know, no. We were born there ethereally upon a stream.
Well, if we knew that... Okay, yeah. So, that's really fucking critical information, because that's kind of how we get around in Eorzea. So that's exactly what Urian J latched onto, right? Is the fact that there's an ethereal stream. There are ethereal streams that we could tap into, just like we did to get into the navel, etc. So Urian J and team, because he's just in we. Like, we did this, we did that. And I'm like, who's this we? I actually thought it was somebody else until it was confirmed that it was the other person.
Yeah. You mean Rambros?
No, I don't remember the sequence of events here, but I thought it was...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because she's the etheric, like...
That'll be a Moogle, but...
PhD, absolutely.
I guess fair. That wouldn't make sense because this quest line can happen at any time.
Correct.
Fair that that's the gut feeling without thinking about the gameplay connotations.
Not that she would appear, but that, like there would be a name drop or something like that.
Fair. Yeah. Anyway, since we have arrived at the same location twice, Dalamud's Claw, right? Dalamud's
Talons. Mm-hmm.
The other two hulks may have the same kind of backdoor, same emergency exit, whatever, venting place for their ether. I don't know.
Yeah, so they were looking for tributaries that would connect to these other locations.
So if we reverse the polarity and travel backwards through the ethereal stream, we might be able to reach those remaining two hulks.
Yes. So they have they're going to use some modified etherites that will focus on the ripples from these other destinations. These echoes, so that we can have something to latch onto. we're going to focus ourselves via these ripples. But again, this is experimental. This is really dangerous. This is going to at some point in the future. Google that out. And
oh my God, you're full. What?
There's shit happening, and it like connects. Okay, just fucking sue me. So Urianger, he explains the risks of this is experimental. You might die.
I feel like that kind of stuff in a way cheapens the threat.
Yes,
because it's like obviously they're not going to kill our character, so it's
correct. That's why I didn't really linger on it too much.
It's kind of an annoying trope in general, frankly, where you have this experimental whatever for the protagonist, and obviously it's going to work.
Obviously it's going to work.
Because
just say it's experimental. It does sound experimental. That's believable. But, like, there's a very high chance that you will die. Nah, not believable.
No.
We're going to be fine. Urianger, when asked about, like, the we situation, he's not very forthcoming. And... this is such like kind of caught in he's not a good liar. Okay, Urianger and myself are on the same level at this point. We cannot play hidden role games. We're just not going to do it. So anyway, we're walking to Delamut's Talons as we're having this conversation with Urianger.
Urianger just says that he had to share to get this figured out. And Alize says, okay, fine, whatever, it's done.
He's like, I understand you wanted to keep this very close to your chest for very good reasons, but like this endeavor, this experimental aetheryte shit, I needed help.
Yes.
And she's like, fine. Like, Urianger, of course, I'm going to trust you to do what you need to do.
And she lets it drop at this point.
Right. So when we get to Delamut's Talons, we see a couple of Immortal Flame soldiers getting the aetheryte together. And she's like, why are there immortal flames involved? Which is ironic because she's the one who's been hiring all these fucking like wood whalers and fucking shits, wood whalers and Adder's Nest guys.
Yes.
To do her stuff, to camp out at things and give her intel.
Alize wonders what they're doing here. Why are there immortal flames at this aetheryte? Yeah,
so much for keeping close to our chest. You're just going to tell the whole fucking company?
And someone says... though they are flames of Ul'dah, they are first and foremost retainers of House Levier.
It's Alphino.
Well, before
sticking his fucking nose in it and Alize's business. God damn it.
Before going on, I do want to camp out on the Immortal Flames response for a minute, Jen.
Okay.
Because remember, I kept wondering, like, what the fuck are these people doing here? Why are they not doing their jobs? Their military duties, which...
It's basically sitting around the cerulean processing plant and kind of doing fuck all.
Well, I'm talking about the wood whalers as well, and also probably the
you had opinions.
Person.
Yeah, like how faithful could they be to both organizations kind of a thing.
Because their job is to work ostensibly for the Immortal Flames or whatever, and I don't know about this structure, but typically, like in the real world, if you disobey your military orders to go do some side project, you're in deep shit.
Yes.
Right?
However, So they put the cart before the horse on this one. If they had approached the leaders of Eorzea, the alliance leaders ahead of time and told them about this imminent threat, then of course they would have invested interest to send members of their company out to assist, whatever that might be.
I want to actually get back to what you said too next episode, because there's more to say in that subject too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, why the fuck are these military officials, whatever, they've got like a fucking lieutenant at least in the mix here, doing shit. Why are they slacking off on their actual job? Why are they abandoning their post to go work for House Levier? And now apparently they've been confirmed as being on the fucking payroll.
On the payroll.
For this house. So this is some shady shit. I know it's for the greater good or whatever, but also
who allows this?
Pretty shady.
The Immortal Flames have to know about this co-allegiance, right?
They don't have to. It could be like they're taking pay on the sly. We don't know that.
That was our thought before. Like the lieutenant from the Adder's Nest, that she was just taking cash under the table essentially and hoping that her superiors don't notice.
I really do think they're like double agents, frankly. Where so you go about your
planted them in
grand
the
company
Flames.
Business, but when we come calling, then
that's a total Alphino thing.
Yeah,
total Alphino thing.
So that is my conclusion about this whole intrigue with the grand company members.
Yeah. He's planting seeds.
Yeah,
and no one is the wiser. Which is smart, but fuck.
But Alize is in on that too, because she's the one who's tapping the...
Oh, yeah. No, she's
the
been
Twin
doing
Adders.
it. She's been doing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the Maelstrom.
Anyway, that's all. I do want to talk more about this whole Grand Company's kind of messiness next episode.
Who are these people?
So,
man, what kind of organization?
More on that then. So for now, though, a mystery person has clarified that these immortal flames are on the House Levier payroll.
So yeah, the mystery voice and the we that has been working with Orianger is Alphino, who's been spying on his sister the entire time. Just let her be, bro. He's still in I gotta like watch over her and monitor her mode. He grows out of it, but I hate it. She hates it.
He leans on Alize immediately, saying that he also wants to keep this a secret. Orianger brought me in, but I also think this is important that this is on the DL.
Well, yeah.
So we want to avoid a panic, right? But since the fate of the realm is at stake, one must accept help when offered. Right, Alize?
Don't you beat me into an answer. I think she's feeling a little bit of, I don't know, like doubt from Alphino about what her motivations are, if she's going to do the right thing when it comes down to it. If it's the choice between, you know, destroying Louis Soix or, you know, destroying the realm, like what would you choose? And she's like, well, you know, she is now emphatic that she will strike down capital G grandfather and return Bahamut to Ether, and protecting their grandfather's legacy. And I mean, again, she's still kind of on the grandpa bandwagon, but this is moving in the right direction. But you know, Alphino's disappointed, and again, yeah, exactly. So she's still operating under this borrowed resolve. It's still piggybacking on grandpa and, you know, protecting his legacy, and it's all about him. It's not about like what is it that you are trying to do. And she's like, you know, so the sense of purpose driving her is tied to her grandfather's and not her own.
After Alphino says that Alize is acting on borrowed resolve, she fires back and says they both came to Eorzea to carry on their grandfather's wishes. Alphino says sure, but he now has found his own reason. He's got reasoning beyond just Louis Soix's legacy. Borrowed resolve shall never be as strong as that which springs from within.
Word
but
up.
Now we must prevent Bahamut's return. Yes, Alphino's coming as well.
Mm-hmm.
Alize says fine, but only if she calls the shots.
Correct. This is her show.
At this point, one of the flames introduces herself as Erkenrad. She'll be the one who helps us inside the coil. And as we're leaving, Alize makes one more cutting remark. Pay no heed to Alphino, she tells us, aside. We started this journey, and we will finish it.
Yeah, we understand what's going on here. That's fine. I mean, how many times has Alphino inserted himself into her life? Just, you know, that's what he does. Anyway, she's trying so hard to, like, be an individual. I get it.
Back at the plant, the processing plant, Erkenrad tells us we'll be sent first to the Burning Wall internment hulk, and we'll have less ground to cover because we're going to be teleporting deep inside now, not hoofing it from the top. But that means we'll be in the shit immediately. And that unlocks the final coil.
Woo!
Thank you to the players who came with us on our synced run of Final Coil. We got through all 4 turns. We cleared 2 synced. 2 of them we skipped at some point.
We were like, we've seen the mechanics. We're fine.
Yes. We'll discuss as those come up. Anyway, though, we covered tons of ground. Clearing 2 fights synced in a 3-hour sitting is real good.
Super good.
Yeah.
And I hadn't watched any how-tos ahead of time, I don't think. Maybe I did.
You did.
I did.
Yes.
Right, because the first two I'm like, I did not. So I'm like, I want to go in blind. And I'm like, that's a bad idea. So
No, these ones are very hard, actually. These guys, there are no gimme turns in this coil. No jumping puzzle and you're done turns. Everyone has a boss fight with real mechanics you must do correctly to succeed. So, thank you again to Raven Ghostpaw on Warrior, to Pontau Jessel on Dark Knight, Farinay Persinia, Scholar, Mervyn Corvus on White Mage, Borogoro on Ninja, and Rena Chelaway on Summoner. And then I played Dragoon, Jen played Bard.
yes.
Much appreciated. Great work, everyone.
Yep. Made it happen. Solid fucking efforts.
So, turn 1. Defying all odds, this experimental, highly dangerous, either right teleportation reverse
It
flow
worked.
technique works.
We arrive.
We arrive inside safely. As soon as we appear, Alize gets us moving. We don't know how much further Bahamut has regenerated, and we need to put a halt to it as soon as possible. So we're now inside an enormous high-tech facility. Before us, we see innumerable storage tanks shaped like cones that are emitting a dull light. And as we press forward, we run into some clockwork spiders. If they spy us, they will activate these containment tanks and then discharge their opponents. They are slimes, lamias, and nagas.
Yeah. So these are all just like tanks holding these chimerical beasts that the Elegants have made.
If you're in here unsynced, you can one-shot these spiders, and if you do, they will not summon in the ads. They actually must see you and react to you to summon them in.
Fun.
Which is an odd detail because that'd be impossible, of course, when this was released.
Yes. Sure, it was impossible, but it makes sense if you get them before they're able to. It's interesting. It's interesting that there is a mechanic built in where there has to be there's an input and then there's an output. But if you get to them before they're able to output, then it doesn't happen.
Yes.
It's interesting. It's like not on a timer. It's dependent upon these mobs.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's almost instant, though, if they do see you.
But even then, if you're unsynced,
yeah,
you're fine.
It's just interesting,
No,
Jen.
it is interesting. I agree.
You're interesting.
Thanks.
We make our way through 2 platforms full of these containment cones, and then use a jump pad to launch ourselves towards the back of the room. Now, a different kind of tank comes into view. These are transparent, liquid-filled cylinders, each containing a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Before we can survey them, though, an immense dragon bursts forth from one of the containment cylinders to attack us. This is Imdagud. I'm do good.
I'm do good. Do good. Yeah.
A wingless quadrupedal dragon with long whipping tendrils emerging from the sides of its face. This fight is kind of annoying, frankly. I think this is the first time that some signature mechanics in the game appear ever, namely Wild Charge. Wild Charge is the name of an ability that's like a stack mechanic, but
it's linear.
It's a linear stack, which typically means that one player will be targeted by a marker. That player either needs to move to the back of the line or is like fixed in place. Other players must line up in front of them. Typically, a tank, usually the off tank, must be the first person in the line to soak the brunt of the charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's both a stack and also like a tank be in front mechanic.
Yeah. I think like King the same mechanic.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the first time that I had seen it. And it was a mindfuck.
It's funny because a lot of people call these mechanics in the game by their coils names. Like people will call the donut mechanic Dynamo because that's what Nail uses. It's called Dynamo for Nail. People will call this stack, the line stack,
The
Wild Charge.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hadn't done it at all. I had gotten to King. I had no idea.
Yeah. So welcome to the OG Wild Charge.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that happens here, obviously. There's another mechanic called Prey. It's just like a shield check. You have to shield the person with Prey. If they do so, then you're fine. If you don't shield them, they'll become paralyzed.
Yeah, we had to be like, I got Prey. Help me out.
Yep.
Just a bunch of yelling.
Mildly annoying.
Yeah.
Now, here is one of the fucks, Heat Lightning.
It's upsetting how quickly I've erased all of this from my mind.
Sorry for getting
it,
sick, Jen.
You say it, and No, we both got sick
When
in like the last 3 weeks.
Oh, sure, but I got sick during when we were supposed to record.
Yeah, like the day of.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, when I say it, you'll remember what it did.
Okay, great.
So heat lightning is like a contagious vulnerability debuff.
Oh.
So when heat lightning goes out, you got to spread out to make sure no one is near another player. 3 people will be marked by this heat lightning. This is just a vuln up, so you'll just take more damage. It's got a pretty short timer too, like a very short debuff window vuln up. No big deal, except that if you touch another player, the heat lightning will pass to that other player.
It's really annoying.
You can infect the whole party with heat lightning if you're not watching your debuffs and it's time for a wild charge and you bring your little heat lightning debuff into the mix.
So it's like everybody with heat lightning, stay the fuck away. Everybody else, line up. So, just communication.
Yep. There's another thing as well, which also heat lightning fucks up too, which is cyclonic chaos. This is the tether, and I believe you need to stack with the tether player to help them soak the tether before it blows up. Otherwise, they'll get killed. By the way, anytime someone dies in this fight, the boss gets a buff.
That's the theme throughout this coil.
Yeah.
So all the boss fights in this coil, when people are dead, the boss is buffed. And in the final fight, the longer you're dead, the more the buff is. Or the second fight, actually, I think. The second boss, not
third.
The...
Phoenix.
That's the third.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, second to last.
Covered it.
That's great. There's 3 bosses or 7. It's second to last. But yeah, that is a thing. So as soon as somebody dies, res them because it's bad. It's bad news.
And then the boss just does these untelegraphed giant cone attacks constantly. So the tanks
front
can never
and behind.
Yeah, the tanks can never point the boss or the ads towards or away from the party. They always must be pointing
sideways,
perpendicular to the party.
Correct. Yeah. So we had the boss pointing basically like latitudinally.
Yeah.
Going east-west so that we could stand north-south. We always had to, whatever orientation, you just kind of hang out on the side of this boss.
And then
because there's tail shit and there's cone shit.
Then there's the ad phase. There are multiple ad phases here.
Sons and daughters.
We get the sons and daughters. Little baby dragons come out. If 2 sons or 2 daughters are too close to one another, they will get buffed to shit and kill the tank in 2 seconds, pretty much. So the tanks need to make sure you separate the sons and daughters.
So yeah, you have like a son and a daughter over here.
Yep.
And a son and a daughter over there. And they're also going to do front and back cleaves. Yep. And AoEs around them. I mean, if you can manage it, there's a lot going on in this phase.
And also, when the ads die, they drop a electrical puddle on the ground.
Correct. So, again, a lot going on. In addition to the cleaves and whatnot. So, you do have to kind of keep the sons and daughters oriented in a certain way. It's really hard to do. But if you can manage it, huzzah.
The second ad phase has another wave of sons and daughters. So, it's also a DPS check, too, because if you get 2 pairs coming out at first, whatever. Then a 3rd pair comes out. And if you have not killed one of each gender before the 3rd pair comes out, you're going to die because they will buff each other and kill the tanks.
It's cool.
Cool.
Super cool.
And on top of this, the arena gets smaller over time.
Yes.
As there is an electrical field that will begin to close in from the outside. So whereas you had the entire arena to resolve your wild charges and heat lightning spreads and so on beforehand, then it starts getting tight and hard towards the center. And towards the very end, you will have no room to dodge. Like, you will be knocked into the lightning, which doesn't kill you in one shot, but does do tons of damage.
It's bad.
So you'll just have to deal with being in the lightning sometimes for mechanics and just leave it.
Yeah.
Sorry, healers.
Yeah.
The whole fucking coil is sorry, healers, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Our healers did great. Thank you.
They did. Yes.
So anyway, that's the fight. We got this clear. It was tough. We spent I think the most time of any of them actually in this fight.
Which makes sense. We're like calibrating, right?
Yeah.
And figuring out like communication styles and, like tank off tank stuff. And I think that's totally normal,
Sure.
So yeah, it got a lot more efficient as we went on, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, but no, we got this clear, legit.
Yeah, we're like,
no frills.
Do we want to skip it? We've seen all the mechanics. Do you want to clear it? We're like, let's fucking clear it.
Yeah, and we did.
Yeah, it was great.
So, with that, we have cleared Imdugood.
We did good.
We did good. After defeating the boss, both Alize and Alfino join us. Alize marvels at the sheer quantity of contained dragons, this is a barbaric practice, she says. Was this really necessary as a defense, she wonders?
And Alfino's like...
The Alligans had plenty of other defenses, you know? Why do they need dragons plus all the chimeras and all the other shit they got?
Exactly. So again, Alfino takes this opportunity to be pedantic and patronizing. I mean, not really. Look, okay. Alfino bugs, right? At this stage in his life, he bugs. But at least he asks an open-ended question and allows her to like kind of think about it. But she comes to the conclusion right away.
The question is... Has Alisaie determined by whose will Bahamut exists? As in, where does the faith come from that sustains him?
Right, yeah. So she, so at this moment, and she's like, well, no, because at first I thought the Alligans had found a way to synthesize prayer to keep him sustained. And then it dawns on her. This is a Matrix situation. So the Alligans have imprisoned Bahamut's children as a perpetual source of energy. They're not kept as defenses. They're batteries,
Right.
They're kept as fuel. It's as ingenious as it is cruel.
These myriad tanks here, each one contains a dragon who is praying to Bahamut for salvation.
Because they're kept in a constant state of distress. So in a way, yes, they have synthesized prayer, but it is
it's more like they farmed prayer.
They have farmed prayer, yeah. So at this, Alisaie says that Bahamut's fury is no longer in question, like the how and the why. Man is responsible for the calamity. Like we have fed this fury. At
this, Alfino asks, will you turn your anger towards humanity, Alisaie? Don't patronize me, she retorts. She's just acknowledging our guilt. If we defeat Bahamut, then the entire system that the Hulks depend upon should fail, and these dragons should be put to rest, finally.
Yeah.
And so we press on to turn 2, down to 6,835 yalms below the surface.
That's a lot.
We're now inside the regeneration grid. We appear on a platform of red Allagan metal that is projecting out from an enormous replica Dalamud. So yes, we're on a miniature version of the moon itself, deep below the surface.
And it is still massive.
The Duty Finder text says that this is the device that regulates Bahamut's regeneration. I infer from later dialogue that Bahamut was actually contained within this thing.
Correct.
Or a Dalamud very much like it. Like maybe it rebuilt this like containment mini Dalamud just because it had to.
Correct.
Kind of.
Right. Yeah. So essentially this was Bahamut's view for millennia.
Inside of it was Bahamut's view.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we appear on the outside on one of those, they're almost like kind of like crucifix like prongs of metal,
Yeah.
And we walk inside upon this prong and behold this hollow moon that is massive in the interior and has the inside points of those same prongs. And this is where we speculate Bahamut was held in a place just like this for untold centuries, millennia, whatever.
It reminds me of that scene in The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible finds Syndrome's like secret little office where he can enter the Chronos password, right? Incredible spoilers. But it is a like a catwalk that juts out into the middle of space, and you're surrounded by this sphere cavern. And when it's determined that he is an intruder, then all the little nozzles pop out of the sphere, and they start shooting him with those like the goo balls or whatever. But that's what it reminded me of.
Cool.
Yeah.
Goosphere.
I fucking love that movie. It's so great.
I haven't seen it for so long.
Oh, love it. Oh God. It's just got it's like amazing like mid-century vibes, and everything looks gorgeous and cool and slick.
Like love this replica Dalamud.
I mean, kinda. Yeah. I wouldn't say gorgeous, but it is impressive.
And slick.
Yeah, I'll give it slick.
In the middle of this, there is a gold ring with inward curving spines. That's where we're going.
That's where we're going.
So in this turn, we are meant to split into two parties and clear separate paths. If you're doing it solo, you can. You just have to go down both paths to unlock the way forward. You'll go down these kind of separate pathways, take jump paths to jump between the different prongs, stand in these energy fields to unlock force field barriers, and then proceed. There's one point where you must unlock a barrier from opposite sides of this impasse before you can proceed. That's where you got to backtrack if you're doing it solo.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're done, then you can press on to the boss. This is at the core override. And here we're met by a 3-headed cybernetic dragon named Kalia. This is one of the fights where we saw all the mechanics, got to the last phase, and then called it because of time. There's a lot going on here. It's kind of difficult. So first off, for most of the fight, you will not be able to go inside the boss's circle. This is from an effect called Barrow Field, which will fill the boss targeting reticle thing with a death AoE. So you cannot dodge through the boss.
I did that like 4 times. You're like, there is no other fight in this game, I don't think,
There
where you
is.
can't do that.
There is another fight, Jen.
Of course there is. Which one?
It's in the most recent Deep Dungeon.
Oh,
Do you know
okay.
why you got to do the same thing in that one, Jen?
I forgot. Oh, okay. That makes all the sense in the world. But so, yeah, no other enemy.
Also, I doubt
sense.
that's true too. I'm sure there are more enemies besides that.
Maybe. I haven't found one. Or I don't remember
I can think of one in Stormblood, which does not have the same effect, technically speaking, but functionally the same. You don't go inside the boss area.
I mean, it's not like it's not making me question reality. Like,
Anyway,
it
irrelevant.
seems like, right.
Don't go
yeah.
inside the boss circle.
But fuck, it's so rare that, of course, you're just going to do it.
Of course. So that, of course, interacts well with the main mechanic of this phase, which is nerve gas. Nerve gas is a 1/3 or 1/2 of the arena AoE. It varies. In which case, the boss will essentially hit the ground with a giant pizza slice, essentially, and you have to dodge around the boss's exterior to avoid the nerve gas. It will do this 3 times in succession. So you'll have to dodge around the boss's perimeter as it keeps doing nerve gas blasts around its side.
Yep.
However, it will not repeat the same pattern twice in the same rotation. So once a section has been hit, you can be there and will be pretty good.
This is probably the easiest mechanic in the fight.
Yes. There's also a tank buster, which is you have the tanks need to tank swap mid buster because it's like 2 heads. One head bites and you tank swap, so the other head bites the other tank.
God damn.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the first phase. Oh, also there's the missiles, the Seed of Sea and Seed of the River.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a pain because it's so hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
So there either will be spread or stack missiles. However, the problem though is that the marker is always gold.
Yeah.
There's like a little tiny thread of light that can be different colors.
And that isn't even the indicator. So you have to watch for the missiles going up in the beginning before you even realize like shit is happening, really. And you have to notate, are they red or are they blue? And if like I think red is river and blue is sea.
Yeah.
And one is stack and one is spread. Whatever the first one is, you do the other one. We got pretty good at figuring this out, but in the beginning, we're like, what the fuck just happened?
It's just really bad at signaling what's
Correct.
happening.
Yeah, the visual...
And the camera angle I have to like not go in the death wall and not get cleaved by the nerve gas is not the one I need to see the missiles.
Yep, nope.
So
It's a pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass. Anyway, we do that. Phase 2. Phase 2 is a pain in the ass also. This is the add phase. So we get 3 shapes coming out. We got an egg shape.
Oh my god.
We got a sphere shape. We got a cube shape. They're all Allocan nodes. Let's see. I think the egg's the one that goes autonomous and just kind of rotates around the arena gradually.
Yeah.
And then you got a sphere and you got a cube. I don't know which one's which. There's a sphere and a cube. They suck.
The sphere is vulnerable to physical damage. The cube is vulnerable to magic damage. And the cube, so you need to split your party up appropriately so that they're doing the right amount of, or the right kind of damage to them. And they're also going to be moving around the arena. You need to keep them separated.
What happens is that the egg is the one moving around the arena.
Yeah,
the egg goes on its own. And if 2 shapes get too close to one another, they will merge and you will wipe.
It's a wipe. Yeah, forget about it.
So that means that you have to keep doing a dance to make room for the egg.
Yep, make room for the egg. Make room for the Holy Spirit. And in that time, we also need to have like 2 separate parties managing the location of the sphere and the cube. So they're not hanging out with the egg, but they're also not hanging out with one another. And much like Thorn March, you also need to make sure that they will die at almost the exact same time. And this is difficult because the cube has far less HP than the sphere. You can't just wail on both and be like, it's fine, because the cube will die faster. And if one of them dies before the other one will then beeline for the egg. Like, you have no fucking time. And then they'll merge and then you'll die.
Yeah.
So they need to die at the exact same time, and then y'all go for the egg.
So as far as I can tell, the cube was no big deal. That was fine. The cube seemed to have minimal mechanics. The sphere, though, the melee target,
there's like
the
a stack
physical
thing.
target, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's constantly blasting out these like
the AoEs.
AoE stacks. And if you're not all up on the cube, then you will die to the stack mechanic.
And again, if you die, you're buffing the boss.
And also, if you die, then you can't stack properly because you're down numbers to stack. And so,
it's a vicious cycle.
Yep.
Yep.
And also during this, there's more lightning shits going on.
Well, yeah, because Kalia is still like doing cleaves and cones and whatever the fuck.
It is the.
Oh no, are there ads doing shit?
No, it is. If you just okay.
It's the other nodes that are chilling.
No, oh my god.
No, there's 3 nodes that you cannot fight. They're just You calm your tits.
I will not, because I'm trying to say, Jen, that the worst thing in this fucking phase is not all that, but no, it is that there is, once again, a fucking 5-second debuff timer that appears out of nowhere on random players, on random characters. And if it's the fucking lightning all over again from turn 9, where if you don't book it away from the other people, including people you're stacked with for the goddamn sphere stack, you will kill everyone with your fucking lightning debuff that has no visual indicator besides a 5-second debuff.
That's it. And you just have to be on your shit and be like, oh god, I have the debuff, guys. See you later.
So at a certain point, Jen, on our furthest pull, I had died due to some bullshit, probably. And I was just watching debuffs and calling out the debuffs because... Like, honestly, probably the best use of my time.
Right? Yeah.
More so,
somebody just die and monitor debuffs, please.
And even on the ones when I was pulling, I was not able to watch mechanics on the ground because I was watching everyone's debuff to make sure I could call them. Because the cost of a debuff is far worse than me getting clipped by some random AoE.
No, it will destroy the party if you're not monitoring them.
I fucking hate this mechanic, Jen.
No,
what is this? You get a debuff, spot it in 5 seconds, or you wipe the raid.
Yep.
It's some real bullshit.
Yeah, you will wipe the raid if you don't monitor who's got this lightning bullshit.
Yeah. So anyway, that is what I was trying to complain about.
Okay,
Jen.
yeah. So there's that, which is the bullshittest of the bullshit. But before these, the cube and the sphere and the egg nodes come out, there's going to be 3 other green spiky nodes. You cannot fight these things. They're just there to throw out cleaves all over the arena. So, I mean, like, it almost doesn't even bear mentioning because everything else is so much more insane. We're like, oh, whatever, a cleave.
What does bear mentioning, though, is that the boss will drop a death field upon them at the phase change. So if you are center when the phase changes, you will die. And
this is the boss fight. Just stay out of the middle. Just don't be in the middle.
In our Crown Glory poll, it's when we had to stack for one of the missiles. Because I had the marker. I brought the stack marker to the center because that was easiest to get to, obviously. Obviously.
Sure.
And that, of course, was right when the phase changed. So everyone stacked on me, did the missile mechanic correctly. Good job. And then the death field appears, killing like half the party.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I remember after, you're like, all right, I won't stand in the center anymore.
Anyway, if we get past the ads, and we did that a couple times, actually. Despite all the shit, we got past the ads phase a couple times to the final phase. The final phase has one more bit of fun, which are the tethers. So now you've got players who are tethered together who must be close to one another. Right. However, there are 2 pairs of tethers. Each pair must be opposite sides of the boss because
it's like one is the sphere, the ghost of the sphere, and one is the ghost of the cube. So the 2 of you who are tethered together, you got to be real close, okay?
Yes.
But do not go to find your other tethered buddies, because it's bad. So you all are going to have to like circle around the boss's hitbox to stay apart, but also avoid the fucking
nerve gas.
The nerve gas, which is the half arena cleave half arena cleave, 1/3 of arena cleave. So good luck.
So good luck to you.
Yeah. Because once you get into the safe zone, you have to be at opposite sides of the safe zone and then do the same for the other. It's a whole thing. Yeah. I think these are the last mechanics that we saw. And
that's it. That's the fight.
Exactly. And we're like, we saw it. We're good. We don't want to do this shit again.
It's more that we had to clear 4 turns in like 3 hours. So, but we did it. We got to the final phase. We saw it all, and we have defeated Kalia. Once that is done, once Kalia falls, Alphino and Alize take on they take in the interior of the replica moon. Mm-hmm. They speculate that Bahamut must have gazed at this same site for millennia, unable to move, unable to die. His hatred for humanity must have burned bright during those times.
Yes.
And that hate, says Alize, found a vessel in Nail von Darnus. In truth, Bahamut should be pitied rather than loathed, but our endeavor is still a necessity. It will put Bahamut to peace and also save the realm, as we know it.
Yeah. His is not the only soul who cries out for vengeance.
On now to turn 3, final turn of this episode, Jen.
Mm-hmm. Next to last.
8,872 yalms deep, back in the heart of the coil with Bahamut's body.
It's like 5.5 miles, man. It's scary.
We're deep.
Yeah. So deep. Put that core to sleep.
So first off, we see now Bahamut before us in this regeneration chamber. He is still being fed power by the surviving coils. His body is coming along nicely.
Yeah.
Much more developed than beforehand. And there was some question in our group about these glowing red tendrils at the end of Bahamut's wings, and there's a similar effect at the base of Bahamut's shattered torso. I believe that these kind of red tendrils are meant to represent his regenerating body.
Yeah.
Like the framework of the pieces that are being put back together, like in a sci-fi rebuilding chamber.
Totally, yeah. It's just like mapping out
exactly
where the bits are going to go.
Because you can see that these pieces are only where his body is still shattered, and they're kind of sprawling in the overall shape of his remaining form.
Yeah.
We take that in, and we're now on to voiced cutscenes, Jen.
Whoa. So, when you're doing this for real, which is what we were doing, aka synced, there's only so much time they give you in the cutscenes. So if you're like me and you need to let a thing go, stop, and take some notes, it's not going to work out very well for you. Because it will kick you out into the fight and you miss out on the entirety of the fucking cutscene.
Because there is a giant cutscene before the fight starts.
Correct. So the game is like, all right, you can blast through this, fine. But if you're going to take your time with it, fuck you, other people are waiting. Which is fair, but I missed the bulk of this voiced cutscene. So I couldn't see it legitimately yet again. With my character, I had to go to YouTube and read the rest of it and take notes. So
you can go back, Jen. You could have gone back unsynced and had the scenario cutscenes enabled.
Yeah, I could have for sure, but
you can still do it.
Yeah, and it's it depends on how strongly you feel about the whole thing. If you want your character, your warrior of light, to be in these environments and talking to these people, to see your character on the screen interacting, like that's kind of a big deal. That's like the reason why we're doing it. So when you're watching a YouTube video and you're looking at someone else's like ass hat of a character with like a pompadour and a fucking Fall Guys hoodie on, it's not the same.
What I will say is this cutscene especially is not about you whatsoever.
No.
You may as well not be here.
You're in your environment.
Yes.
You're in the background. So that's why you can see yourself in the environment, and that's immersion, right? Uh-huh. You feel a little bit more connected to it. That's all. But yes, you're not talking.
Well, this is why they stopped putting cutscenes before scenarios, thankfully.
Yes. I mean, yeah, if you don't have like the auto progression, somebody could just camp out in here for fucking ever and ruin everything.
Yeah.
So.
Now they will do those like at the back end of the scenario or in the intervening quest steps before you actually begin the fight. Good job, dev team.
Yeah, they figured it out.
They learned. So here we are. The twins remark that Bahamut has almost regained his full form, and they move to disable the coil, but Louisoix appears before us to intercept.
Grandfather? No, that man is dead. I will not dishonor my beloved grandsire's memory by calling you such. You are but his twisted shape, the thrall of a mad primal.
You were foolish to disregard my warning, child. Are you so convinced of your own righteousness?
'Tis the rightness of our path that led us to return. Eorzea will never be safe whilst Bahamut remains to threaten all we hold dear. What of the hero who gave his life in defense of the realm? Do you truly dispute the justice of our cause?
You didn't say the magic word.
He does not say that.
He does not say that. He admonishes Alize for not heeding his warning. Remember that time that I shot you in the chest and I said, stop it? This isn't you stopping it.
Are we so convinced of our own righteousness?
Yes, 100%.
That is Alphino's cue indeed, and Jin's apparently. As Alphino steps in, 'tis the rightness of our path that led us to return. Eorzea will never be safe while Bahamut remains. And what of your justice, Louisoix?
Ooh. Well, Louisoix, the thrall, he says that they know nothing of the world save for the most recent conflicts. And then he deigns to enlighten us with some history. In the Third Astral Era, the Allagan Empire invaded southern Mericidia. Their advancement was assured, their actions depraved, just like an Allagan, right? Desperate for salvation, the Mericidians prayed to one of their ancestors.
The Mericidians are dragons. This is the homeland of the dragons.
Correct.
To clarify.
Thank you. So the Mericidians prayed. Well, so in which fight is it that we fight ads that are like the pain of Mericidia, the blood of Mericidia?
Turn 5 and turn 9.
Yeah. So there's allusions for sure. So the Mericidians prayed to one of their ancestors, one of the first brood, Bahamut. So he rose from the depths as their new god. However, this only increased the fervor with which the Allagans fought, and the binds and fetters testaments to Allagan cruelty and hubris, is in what is currently imprisoning Bahamut.
Right. So when Bahamut appeared to fight the Allagans, they said, "Oh shit, look at that. We can use that."
Ooh, that looks like some good fuel. Let's put him in a moon.
Exactly. Here, Louisoix says that he tried to summon the 12 in the final moments before the calamity. Is he any better or worse than the dragons? And so the world will not know true justice until humanity has been expunged.
All right. So that's your trauma talking. We don't talk in extremes. Okay. He continues that man is distracted by his own primacy, making him blind to the commonness of his condition, which is fair, and the truth of his tyranny, fair. And the dragons will never be at peace if men remain. There's opportunity for shittiness no matter who you are. Okay. And so Louisoix is sounding a bit like an edgy 14-year-old right now. And so Bahamut's designs on vengeance are made crystal clear here. Humans are a plague, flawed race, blah, blah. And Alize is really incensed that words like this would come out of even a facsimile of her grandfather's mouth. That he would speak so dimly of mankind. And he believed so much in their strength, in their ability to stand together and resist the darkness. But can mankind, and this is Louisoix, can mankind stand together when they never even seem to find common ground beneath their own 2 feet?
Like the twins, like you two, Alphino and Alize.
Oh, yeah. No, this is bullshit.
Louisoix calls them out. They hide their own agenda behind the banner of Eorzea's salvation, but they are acting out of self-interest. Are they, the twins, any different than the Allagans?
My God. Yeah. A logic leap, some fucking hyperbole here.
Just a little bit.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
but
just politicians.
Now he mentioned something important.
This is, we can't, I have to discount everything he says.
Now he mentioned something important. Bookmark this for next episode. He says that he gifted the twins their grimoires in hope that it would bring them together in vain, it seems.
False. Okay, so Alphinaud's turn. And he agrees, like, there is some truth to what you say, sure. The fact that people sometimes cannot find common ground, that they can't agree. And with, like, enormous populations, there's going to be, dissent or whatever. Like, that's a thing, but we can overcome it. But all this, quote unquote, humans bad talk, it has no power coming from the mouth of Archon Louisoix. And by the way, do you champion the cause of dragonkind now because he speaks as Bahamut's thrall, or because you've transcended the human form?
The words are the limits of man's existence.
Well, limits of man's existence. Alphinaud has seen through to the truth of Louisoix's current condition.
Ah, so the possibility did not escape your notice. What I prayed for, and what I have become. These are the keys that unlock the truth behind Eorzea's rebirth. If you would have them, then you must needs take them by force. Come, rend this divine form asunder and claim your answers.
Louisoix notes that Louisoix knows that Alphinaud knows that he knows. What he prayed for, what Louisoix prayed for, has come to pass. The keys that unlock the truth behind Eorzea's rebirth. And at this point, Louisoix transforms.
Into the primal phoenix.
Into the phoenix, the blazing blue bird, symbol of rebirth.
He's a primal!
Oh my god.
Holy shit, he's a primal!
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, if they truly wish to learn the truth of the calamity, then they must destroy him.
And Alphinaud and Alize are undeterred.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but
it's
they're gonna
fight
do it.
time, even despite that huge transformation. Oh shit, Grandpa's a bird now.
That old chestnut.
So this is the Phoenix fight. We did clear this one by a hair.
Ooh.
Like, we were seconds, if that, from the enrage at the end.
Did we only have like 3 or 4 people alive at this point too?
It was really rough. But we got the clear, and that's what counts.
Yeah, that's what counts.
So, the Phoenix. This is the one where if you are dead, the Phoenix will get powered up.
And the longer you're dead, the worse
Yep.
it gets.
Yes. Got some phases here. The tank buster gimmick for this fight is that the boss casts a spell called Revelation. This is a debuff. The next time the boss casts Revelation, and if it hits the same target as the last one, they will die. So the tanks have like a tank buster cast timer to swap. It's very interesting, actually, because normally you have to swap ASAP, but you have like 30 seconds, I think, or more to swap, which is important because sometimes the off-tank's doing something and they need to finish up their business before coming back. So you can kind of bank the tank swap for a little bit, which gives you some flexibility. It's fairly interesting, frankly, in the way it kind of interfaces with the fight mechanics.
I believe you. I honestly cannot devote any brain space to tank, off-tank fuckery.
Okay.
Yep. I understand that
so it's like you've got a pot on the front burner, Jen, and then it's going to boil over. So you put it on the back burner.
It's literally like organizing Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You're shuffling from burners to oven to toaster oven to you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
But the thing is, though, like if you got some gravy on the front burner and it's good to go, you don't want it to get cold because then it'll congeal.
Exactly. You have to put it in the oven to keep it warm.
No, you can put it on the back burner, you see.
But there's corn on the back burner.
There's not corn because we only have 2 tanks here, Jen. You're confusing the metaphor.
Oh, okay.
You put it in the back burner, And you can deal with it in 30 seconds a minute while you're dealing with your corn or whatever elsewhere.
Knowing that it's still going to be okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But eventually you got to take it off there and deal with it. You got to stir it.
Yeah, you can't just let it live.
No.
Back there.
Yeah.
Because it'll get bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But you got some time. So you can time the interaction with the gravy until you're ready. You don't need to do so ASAP.
Wonderful. We've all been there.
Yep.
The old gravy shuffle.
I learned from Jen this year that she has always done gravy from a packet. Called out.
We did a lot of things from packets, which is why I hated Mexican food for so long.
Mexican in quotes, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yeah, get some 7% fat because we all thought less fat was good back in the day.
Yep.
And then you get the fucking McCormick brand Mexican spice in the little bag. And you add that to your ground beef, and then you put it in some shit-ass hard shell taco shells and shredded iceberg lettuce and chopped tomatoes.
You're making me hungry, Jen.
No onion. The shredded cheddar cheese that is not going to melt ever. Maybe sour cream if we remember to get it. And that's your dinner, and it sucks.
This has been the Food Trauma Corner. Now then
Join us
back
next
to Phoenix.
time for pork chops. Yeah. The other white meat? No, the other gray meat.
Oh, no. So there's a tank buster. Then there are the Benus. These are the ads in the fight. These guys will buff the boss while they're near the boss. So you need to pull them away from the boss. We tried to have the DPS pull them, but they do fuck tons of damage.
Yeah.
So we had to have the off tank pull them, and they're really hard to see. Actually, they're tiny.
Yep.
And they appear inside the boss. So I started watching the enmity list actually for them to appear.
Yeah.
Anyway, kill the birds.
Kill the birds.
Then there is black fire and white fire. So this is actually pretty easy. It's more complicated on paper than it is. Essentially,
oh yeah,
you get people targeted by this black fire. It's an AoE. It'll drop on the person, and
just
then
need to spread out a little bit.
Yeah, if you drop on people, it's bad, obviously. So don't do that. And then there'll be a white fire effect later on. The white fire will explode on the player it appears on, but if you drop it on the black fire, it will nullify the black fire.
Yep.
So pretty much, the same people that get the black fire will get the white fire.
Most of the time. Sometimes it was different people. Somebody had a black fire, and sometimes I'd get the white fire.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was supposed to be the same people. I don't know. That was in the guide that I watched, but it can be different people.
Maybe
so
someone died, or maybe it fucked up. I don't know.
That's totally possible. Yeah. But anyway, so the three people will drop the black fire at whatever position, and then people get the white fire. They'll go up and stand next to the black fire, neutralize it, and good to go.
And if the same person gets it, which it should be the case, they can just stand
you're already just right there.
Yeah, exactly. So just drop it back and nullify the fire.
It's just shit to do. It's not difficult.
That's phase 1. Phase 2 adds in the purgatory effects. These essentially are markers that need to be... Yeah, you just need to transfer this buff before it expires. The way we handle this was having the healers take the buff. So you drop the debuffs on the healers swap it, good to go, pretty much.
Yeah, so we had a place for the healer to stand.
Yeah, the brand exchange station, pretty much.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're just hey, you got any drugs?
Thank you again, healers, for doing tons of work this run.
Yeah, man.
Now we got blue fires and red fires.
This one's a little less easy.
So the blue fire is a blue marker on a player. When it drops, they'll drop a blue puddle on the ground.
It's a big puddle.
Yes. This is the hardest because it can be tripped accidentally, and if so, you're fucked for the next mechanic.
Yeah.
So you just have to make sure that no one goes near the fucking blue puddle until it's time for the red fire to come out.
Yeah, so the person with the blue fire, we had them just go hella south. If they could. Sometimes it's hard, but get the fuck away from everybody. Drop it out in the boonies, and then eventually someone will get tethered with red fire, and it's this red fire orb that will tether to somebody, and it will follow you. If it hits somebody, it's gonna fuck everybody up. So what you need to do is someone needs to run into the blue fire and get the blue fire debuff, and then intercept the red fire again to nullify it. So conceptually it's the same, but this has a much greater chance to fuck everybody up if you don't get it right.
Yep. Now on to phase 3. This is the ads phase. So Louisoix goes to the end of the arena and gets surrounded by a flame pillar. One shot kill, don't touch. Then we get ads coming out at this point. So there are more Benus. Mm-hmm. Because this is a Phoenix fight, when you kill the Benus, they will be reborn into bigger. Benus.
Yes, so don't go crazy here just killing all the guys, because they will all resurrect then as big Benus. You will not be able to fight all of them as big guys. So kill one, move the other smaller guys away, let the one that's dead regenerate as a big guy, then kill the big guy, then kill another small guy. So you just stagger them.
Yep.
Because you will be overwhelmed.
Exactly. Then, final phase. Now we get the Fountain of Fire. This is a fun mechanic. So, Fountain of Fire is a big flame puddle on the ground. It needs to be soaked a total of 8 hits, as in you need to take 8 debuffs from this puddle to make it go away.
That's right. Yeah.
While it's up, the boss will get buffed. However, of course, every time you take a debuff, you take more damage from the puddle. So the math here is that the off tank takes 4 debuffs, and then DPS split the remaining 4 debuffs between them.
Yep.
So 2 on one, 2 on another.
Yep.
And that's that.
That's that.
It's easy in concept, hard when things are exploding left and right.
Right.
And you got to count your debuffs and not die to the puddle and all the other shit going on.
Yeah.
But we do that successfully. And then we get, of course, the Phoenix Eggies coming out now, which will be kind of like a dive bomb-ish mechanic.
Right.
So you just have to make sure you don't drop those dive bombs near players and they go off safely elsewhere. Still hurts, but don't kill the party with them, please.
Yeah. So there's also ads out here that are doing linear AoEs out in front of them. So they're gonna turn around and do from wherever they are. It's not all the way across the arena, which is helpful. But they're throwing out AoEs in front of them. And also people will be tethered with the dive bomb phoenixes, yep. So they just need to make sure they're running in the right spot.
And I can't sell enough how chaotic it is actually in the thick of it there.
Oh my God, yes.
This does not happen in sequence. This happens all at once. So you got the flame puddles,
yeah,
and
yep.
You got the dive bombs, and you've got the AoEs
yep.
on the ground.
And you also have to
brands.
You got to learn the timing of the dive bomb too, because you got to bait it outside so that it's not going to hit anybody
yep.
else. But also have enough time for yourself to run away, because it will hit really hard. So,
yep.
Good luck to you.
And of course, if you die, then you start to tick up the boss's strength and the enrage timer. So that's another factor too. So again, we squeaked it out barely, but it was definitely barely. But still a win.
Oh yeah, it was great.
After Phoenix is slain, it fades into ether, and the twins are silent for a moment. Then Alize speaks. Finally, grandfather's at peace.
However, Louisoix's soul, the real one, materializes. So this is actual Louisoix now. This is not evil Louisoix.
I'm alive.
Yeah, ew.
Grandpa's back again.
Lamau. He thanks us, the Warrior of Light, for releasing him from Bahamut's control. Obviously, because Alize and Alphino weren't fighting him. So this is really emotional. So this is Alize and Alphino and Louisoix having their, the conversation that they've probably wanted to have for the last 5 years.
Well, first, Alphino begs for forgiveness.
Right.
He didn't mean to demean Louisoix, a rare moment of humility for Alphino.
Yes.
No, says Louisoix. He's proud of who Alphino has become.
And
maybe not yet, but
I mean, this is Granddad. Okay, yeah. And honestly, for however old this Alphino is, 16, he's getting it done. Okay, he might be a bit of a dick, but he's getting it done.
Alphino's getting it done.
Yeah.
Put that on a shirt.
But he also makes sure to tell Alphino that he was wise enough to determine what Louisoix had become. You saw through that. Look at you. You are talking to the asshole Louisoix. You don't need to ask forgiveness for that. And then Louisoix tells the tale of the calamity.
The true tale of the Battle of Cartino.
Right.
'Twas there in the sky above the surging armies that the elder primal Bahamut broke free of the red moon Dalamut. In an effort to contain this avatar of destruction, I called upon the 12 to aid me in the creation of a prison of ether. But Bahamut would not be caged by such feeble bars. Too vast was his might, too fierce his rage.
We get a FMV dropped into this in-game cutscene right here. And this is the finale to that FMV from the Realm Reborn.
This is the missing pieces. Like
right.
we didn't see this level of detail. We just knew that Louisoix did something.
Because this picks up where the Flames of Truth FMV left off. Like essentially it finishes off that FMV, the one that plays, or the one that you can play from the game's main menu if you want to play like the A Realm Reborn FMV intro. Also the one that played at the end of Final Fantasy XIV 1.0. So this concludes that whole sequence. And what happens here is that, as we know, the calling of the 12 was insufficient to contain Bahamut. So Bahamut breaks free from this prison of ether. His might and rage are too great. Realizing this, Louisoix expends lots of his strength to entrust his hope to the future. He teleports the kind of, iconic Warriors of Light forward in time into A Realm Reborn from 1.0, from the Battle of Carchano, so they can carry forward their hope and light, etc., into the next generation. Mm-hmm. And that's where the last FMV ended. With Louisoix disappearing, we don't know what happened.
Right.
Big question mark.
We just see him enveloped in this blue light, and that like smile across his face, just like a last moment of peace, but not knowing exactly what the fuck is happening.
But what the fuck is happening is that Louisoix here, he is surrounded now by sundered pillars of light. These are the sundered sigils of the 12. When he called them up, we saw in the original FMV, they rose forth, and now they're broken, like kind of shattered crystal at the moment. However, when the 12's binding failed, the ether remains. We can see there are still motes of ether in the air, densely floating around, even though the binding has failed. This ether, this raw potential, responds to the prayers of the warriors fighting in the Battle of Carchano, their hopes for Louisoix to save them in this moment, and this energy and belief activate the raw ether, channeling it into Louisoix. He transforms into a primal, becoming awash with white light. He launches himself into the sky towards Bahamut. He conjures a warding circle, trying to halt the descent of a massive fireball. Now, I'm not clear if this is either like a flame from Bahamut or if it's like the primary mass of Dalamud that we're looking at here. It's kind of hard to tell because it's like a burning ball, but also seems to have like some sort of like mass to it too.
Right, yes.
Because if it's Dalamud, Bahamut has gone back now inside Dalamud at some point, which seems like an odd move, frankly. But he's inside this flaming mass, and Louisoix tries to block its descent with this circle of light. However, his second circle shatters, the warding circle shatters, trying to block this descent, and it looks like the flaming mass is going to crash down into the earth, crushing Louisoix's infused self and unleashing destruction. But at the last moment, Louisoix calls upon renewed energy and halts the collision of this mass. Then he propels himself into the inferno, into this flaming bulk, towards Bahamut's body, who is inside this thing. The flaming bulk solidifies like cooling magma. Louisoix breaks through it, erupting out the upper end of the cooling orb. Bahamut is likewise propelled out of this hardening mass, a beam of white light bursting through his body. This is the aftermath of Louisoix's ascent. And now the scene slows down, and we see Louisoix, his body starts to turn to raw ether. It dissipates into nothingness, essentially, into raw energy. So he's fading away. Bahamut likewise begins to break apart and then explodes. We are left with a vision of the battlefield in destruction. The land is warped into curving spires of volcanic rock that encircle a massive crater. Motes of ether rain down upon the land. So what has happened here is, of course, that Louisoix was transformed into the Phoenix and slew Bahamut once and for all, or so we thought. Because though he rendered a death blow onto Bahamut, the victory, the sense that he had won, and so Louisoix could let go of this massive collection of ether, of the land's ether he had collected, Because as we know, primals hoard that ether. Louisoix was like, all right, I did what I need to do. Now I will perish so the land can have the ether back. But Bahamut was not yet dead. Even while dying, his will was so strong that he tempers Louisoix the Phoenix and seizes the Phoenix's dissipating ether and absorbs it into Bahamut's body, gaining enough strength to survive, though in a shattered form. And so that is what we found down below under First Coil, that kind of growing shell of Bahamut, what was left of him, what could be saved by the Phoenix's ether. And of course, it has been regenerating since then in the time we've been going through Coils. I'm assuming that having regained the strength, Bahamut himself actually kind of found this safe space deep underground. He went there alone. There were not Coils there then. He's like, I gotta peace out and get better.
Right.
So he goes deep in the earth, and the Coils, the fragments of Dalamud, do what they do, and they seek out his
Sought
body.
him out. Yes. To do it again.
So now Louisoix calls upon us to stop Bahamut's regeneration. No one will have a world left if the primal is reborn, neither us nor dragons.
Yep. Louisoix then goes to turn off the last coil and creates a portal to the final. I guess he turns off one of the coils and creates a portal to the last Hulk. And he asks his grandchildren to
It's
approach.
like just across the room. There's a portal to
Here's a portal
100
to
feet
over
away.
there. It's easier.
It is.
And this is where he kind of kneels down and puts a hand on each shoulder, and he asks them to find their own reasons to fight for Eorzea. And Alphino is like, yep, got it. And Alize doesn't have a lot of confidence in this moment. She doesn't say anything. Louisoix tells her that she reached him before with her words, even while he was, enthralled, because of her conviction. And she spoke of Louisoix's faith in the strength of people with such intensity that perhaps that has become her nadir as well. So he's like, maybe you haven't found your own reason, but there's something there to explore. Like you have enough personal devotion to the cause that you're right around the corner figuring this out in true, like, I'm a grandpa and I'm giving you encouragement way.
Alice bids Louisoix to take his rest at last. He kneels down to hold their shoulders and bestow his final secret. He says there are records of an art that allows one to summon the power of a primal from the essence of its demise. Summoning, of course. Mm-hmm. And this is Louisoix's gift to them, the dying essence of the Phoenix. And with that, Louisoix expires again, dissolving at last into ether. And the twins, not mournful but uplifted, they bid us continue. Our task remains undone. And that's where we leave off this time. Next time, we will be taking on the Final Coil.
Bahamut himself.
Any turns 1 through 3 comments, Jen, before we sign off?
This is probably the heaviest chunk of content in the whole Coil series, at least for me. Obviously because Alize and Alphino finally get a chance to have an earnest conversation with actual Louisoix and not his shade, not as Phoenix, not as anything. So there is so much catharsis in that moment, and also understanding that Alize now has a reckoning personally. At least she was able to hear her grandfather tell her that she's doing the right thing, and her heart's in the right place. And also getting the quote unquote truth of the calamity when before we thought we knew what happened. I mean, really, like Louisoix did something and saved the realm, and great. But that wasn't enough for Alizé, and because of her efforts, we were able to figure out exactly what happened there. And it actually, Louisoix's contribution to Eorzea's salvation is even more impressive than we thought. And just he sacrificed himself in more ways than we thought. Like he didn't just die. Like he persisted as a primal, as a thrall to Bahamut. And I can't imagine what that felt like, if he had even like the wherewithal during all this time. But I guess 5 years is a lot better than millennia, because which is what Bahamut had. But yeah, it's extremely emotional. It's heavy. It's a roller coaster. Yeah, that's it.
Well, all true.
Thanks.
I don't have anything to add. All well said, Jen. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I am looking forward to next time when we finally bring the Coils story to a close. Mm-hmm. So we'll see you then.
And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. If you would like to get in touch, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com, or check the show notes for Discord, join the Discord, and talk to your fellow warriors of light. Share your glams, share your experiences, talk about other video games. Like, fuck it. It's an amazing group of people. If you ever want to join us on a future group one, that's where we would ping you for that. I'm sorry I used the word ping. And we also have the patreon.com/podreturnffxiv, where for $1, a little tip jar, something, we actually release content there as well, about once a month on seasonal stuff, other adjacent content in the game that doesn't necessarily relate to the MSQ as we do in the main show. But if you want to drop us a tip, we would really appreciate it. And again, so thanks for being you. And we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night. And we will see you next time.